Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I am, of course, one of your hosts, Shae Zombie, and over to this side. One day I will know what side this is. Over to this side is Cyborg.
Hello, that is your screen left.
Screen left, gotcha. That is my physical right, but you know what? Whatever, it's totally fine. And then we, of course, have the super awesome, amazing, talented coach, Jon Malin. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. How are you guys doing?
You know, I'm trying. I've got a co-host that I want to put through a wall, but it's fine.
Bring it.
And we, what?
Shut up. And welcome to the chat. And all of the people that are here that are usually never here, welcome. And thank you for coming to support Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone who showed up. We are here because we are talking about the super amazing campaign Graveyard Shift Volume 2 with a Huerta cover variant.
Yeah. Specifically the Huerta variant. A campaign that was launched as a joke. And it blew up. Went far beyond expectations. People dug into it. It was fun. It was a little jab at Mike S. Miller because he was ahead of me for the 2019 Indiegogo listings. Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, he was ahead by $3,000, and I found out just a couple days before New Year's, and I was on Ethan's stream, and I don't know, just how Ethan, when Edwin was saying the listings, he said it like I had front-loaded my campaign, almost like it was like a schemes and scams thing. So it was probably meant harmless, but it, just the sheer possibility kind of started grinding me. So I launched this campaign to try to raise $3,000 before New Year's, 12 midnight Eastern time. And I think we made the $3,000 before the stream had ended.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And since then, it's just been whatever. We just kind of made new goals along the way. Like Mike had a Lone Star second printing redo campaign that he launched months ago. It's still open. I think it was around 17,000, and we're like, oh yeah, let's try to beat that. And Doug Snapel had one at 22,000, and somebody had actually tweeted that there was like no way we were going to get to Doug, like no way we could get to Doug by midnight. And I looked high and low to find that tweet because we did beat Doug before midnight, and yeah, and then 1,000. We were $1,000 after we beat Doug. We were Bigfoot Bill specifically, and then $1,000 behind Red Rooster. And
God,
yeah. So we like all the Red Rooster guys. We're like, hey, maybe we can beat Red Rooster before midnight, and then we beat Red Rooster like 4 or 5 hours before midnight. It was incredible, and the campaign it's only doubled since then. So it went from 23,000. Now we're at 40 something, 45, 46. So
do you want to bring it up, Si?
I would be happy to. And I have to ask you.
Nice. So we just crossed 46,000 and 697 backers. It was fun. And the cool thing was that Andrew was already late on turning this in because this is print for the Graveyard Shift initial campaign, the 6x9. But it was handy. It was available. So I was like, hey, this is going to be the cover now. So I wrote Andrew. I said, hey, we're going to make this the cover. I'm going to send you money. Cool. And he's like, yeah, cool. So we had a cover ready to roll as it turned out. That very day he turned it in. I think I had it in my hands for like maybe 5 hours. And
slap the title on that bitch. It's going out the door.
Yeah, that was it. So
I gotta
put it
say,
up as quick as possible. Initially, it didn't have the title on there, so I had to get our pre-press guy to mock that up. And as soon as he was done, I put that one up there. But yeah, it ended up becoming a full campaign. Like I didn't even put like the interior art on there until the beginning of the year. If you scroll down, you can see all the interior art in there, but none of that was on there. It was just the cover for.
You're like, this is a joke, but that's a really nice fucking car that you can buy with that.
Well, the thing that makes me laugh is that you put this up as a joke. You have almost 700 people in on this joke that are like, yes, I am down.
Yeah, people like to have fun, I think. And, this was, harmless because it's not like any of these other campaigns are losing money,
right.
They're staying where they're at. But, hey, whatever, everyone's having a good time. So let's try to beat them. And then those other campaigns, they can do the same thing, back to us. When they have their next campaigns going on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Friendly rivalry and otherwise, other than friendly rivalry, it's all good. I mean, it's not like Comicsgate is a zero-sum game where you're taking money out of someone's mouth. So
trust me, Mike Miller can, when he launches his next campaign, he's not Comicsgate, but by all means, he can say, hey, let's try to beat Graveyard Shift.
Can he even afford it with Bitcoin?
He'll just borrow some more money from his kids.
That is so sad.
Yeah.
Goodness. I have none of the words. So
he options off his daughter's shit, and then he's like, "I'll just guard that money for you, promise."
Mm-hmm.
That's cute. That's fun.
Isn't that wholesome?
So I highly doubt that there are people out there that don't know about Graveyard Shift.
Well, in case you've never heard of it, real briefly, it's what if the Universal monsters were the X-Men? It's scientists that get murdered and thrown into their own regeneration experiments by this guy named Van Helsing. They're all stand-ins for classic monsters. So, like, the leader of the team is Vlad. He's our Dracula guy. You're looking at Mick the Monster Mayhew. He's Frankenstein, or he's the monster. And the silver hair girl that Shae's closet cosplaying as right now is Lilith, and she's a stand-in for the Bride of Frankenstein.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, Lilith and Mick are basically like Wolverines, so you can shoot them and you can blow them up, and they'll keep coming back. So Vlad is more of almost like a Superman type, like near indestructible, fast, and he uses guns.
I'm sorry, I'm just staring at the Hyung Lee portion of this.
Gosh.
You got to get that booty in there.
Indeed.
I tell people this all the time.
I gotta say, I like the Volume 1 cover that you have where you somehow managed to get both tits and ass fully viewed. I was like, that is one hell of a contort that she's got going there. She's a bendy one.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I think it was Tim Seeley came up to me at a convention once and complimented like a Daredevil thing. And that was the thing too. Like it was kind of like in the beginning of like, they're, women need to be portrayed more realistic and all this stuff. And I had drawn a Daredevil from the TV show, the intro, where it's kind of like draining blood and forming the figure of Daredevil. So I had done kind of an homage to that, but I twisted his torso so much that same thing. You could see his butt and his pecs. And when Celia was there, I was like, see, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of prefer the updated version. Instead of a dude's ass, you have a chick.
Yeah.
Sorry, this happens every single time there's tits or ass on in anybody's comic. That's the one thing that Cy will hone in on and then chill with for a very long time. Mighty Wolf, where are her organs?
I'm scrolling through the art for Volume 1 right now, so I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted because wow.
Oh my gosh. I love that. We're gonna eventually. I'm gonna try and do, since my last name on my Twitter handle is Zombie. I really want to do something where it's like a cosplay of a zombie eating a bunch of organs. It'll just be, where are her organs?
No.
Eating them.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. Fun. Anyway. Cool. Well, let's. Jeez, I just can't. Like, the art's just so pretty.
It is. I'm wondering about this stretch goal.
Yeah, that's our last. Oh yeah, that was the one that actually tied. I think it tied or it beat Doug's campaign by $1 with that stretch goal.
I figured it was something like that.
Yeah, it was very specific. But yeah, that gave Andrew Huerta, like Andrew already got paid very well for this cover. Then I gave him $1,000 bonus for beating Doug, and if we get to 65,000, he's going to get another $1,000 bonus. Yeah. So, and if we beat 65, and if we're grasping in the last hours, maybe I'll try to find a way to get him another $1,000 bonus. So, you know, I want him to get paid very well for this. And
all this bonus on a piece of art that he was originally turning in for the first one.
Yeah.
That he was super late on.
Yeah.
God damn, John, we all got to get jobs with you.
Well, look, I mean, when something like this is, you know, flying like this, again, it's just a variant, you know, like, yeah, all right, no problem at all. But this campaign, you know, it's not meant to be, you know, insane money maker. If it was, you know, I'd be working in even more money for him. But yeah, I think that's kind of the part of Comicsgate, you know, like, you know, the people really came in there for me, and I want to do my best to represent and do better for people when I have these opportunities like this. So, like the core campaign had bonuses built in for the art teams at every $50,000 raised. A lot of potential for people when you're working with me to make more money. And look, the more, you know, every time it hits a $50,000 mark, you know, boom, you just got another bonus for work that you're already paid for. Exactly. So I think people appreciate that. I hope they appreciate that. And yeah, so I think it's also important that people know that you're not just, you know, everyone is free to do whatever they want with their money, but, you know, to at least let people know you're not hoarding the cash, you know. Our money,
a pile of it.
Yeah, our money got reinvested on the first one to hire these new talents that are in that supplemental book, which is no longer available. But that hired Cal Jenkins to write a story with Render Contender as artist. That was new talent coming in to Comicsgate. Von Klaus wrote a story with Todd Mulrooney. They were also talent search winners, and they've all received bonuses as well. And then Mark and I, we have a long-term, the first fan of Graveyard Shift probably is our long-term friend, Mike McMahon. So Mike ended up doing a story, 20 pages, just like the talent search winners did. And yeah, everybody got paid, everybody got bonuses. And now we have this supplemental book.
That honestly, that's so cool, and it's nice to hear because people are always talking about how indie comics and the indie scene is doing so much better than mainstream, and it's really nice to see people who are going out of their way to try and make sure that that is exactly what they're putting out there. And on that note, I do a mean hand turkey. John, do you need a hand turkey of one of your characters? Because that's about all I got to offer.
I don't know. Hit me up around Thanksgiving time.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do a drawing contest with hand turkeys.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna lose in my own contest.
So we had a 6.5 hour fundraising stream for John and Carla from Grim Reaper last night, and we had legit. Sorry, Shae. We had legit artists coming on and offering to do commissions live during the stream, and I shit you not, nobody wanted them. They all wanted Shae hand turkeys.
I don't know why. They were so bad. And then, of course, if you know Mark from 6 a.m. Comics, he decided that he was going to tweet out without saying anything to me, where he said, because I know that you all love art, Shae will do a hand turkey for every single backer. This is happening now. And then he kind of told me after the fact, and he's like, by the way, you owe us 10. I was like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, no, people like having fun. That's like the thing with the auctions, you know. You can sell like something that you work very hard on, and you can make decent money with it. But then if you draw something that gets that emotional response, like a hand turkey, something to make you laugh, and that's why I think Cecil's campaign is going to do very well, because I think right away, you know, when you're looking at this campaign, I think people are going to laugh, and that's a real response. And if it makes you feel good, you'll buy it. And just like I did that tank heist where I drew it with my foot. I made a video about it. It was all a big goof. And then we just threw it up as an auction. And they paid like, I think it was like $500 for it.
For tank heist, yeah.
Yeah, for something I drew with my foot. But it's because it's fun. It's because it's fun. I mean, that memory is going to last, a lifetime. You're going to be like, yeah, I really enjoyed this. This is the time Shae drew a turkey with her hand. Right. So I bought it.
Yes.
Well, think of the time that, what was it, EVS and Vader with his foot?
Yeah, and that's what inspired that, was Foot Vader.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Foot Vader.
And then, of course, the Smiller one where his kid was hiding under his desk and drew it for him.
Yeah. Well, that's bandwagon Mike.
Oh,
indeed.
Sees an opportunity.
So I did find the image in question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyone was curious.
Yeah, guys, if you look at my campaigns, you'll notice a trend right back to Jawbreakers with Zashi. The initial Graveyard Shift had a good shot of Lilith on there, butt and boobs, and this one as well. There's a theme.
Impressive pose.
Yeah, there's a theme. So whenever I get around to doing my next project, which is tentatively named Project Thunder, I was going to lock down on that, but now I'm thinking I'm going to change it because Mike's out there rattling around Project MAGA. Yeah, I guarantee you there's going to be a chick involved in this book, and she's, I don't know, 9 out of 10 chance she's going to be on the cover somehow. Might be butt, might be boobs, I don't know, but it's going to be right there front and center in the campaign.
Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, let's be real. Women tend to sell a lot of things, so
yeah.
Why would you not showcase them?
It goes back to the same thing. One, your audience is primarily male. Two, it makes an emotional response. Dude, we're like monkeys, man. We see a hot chick, and we're like, oh.
Well, so here's the funny thing is this is a common thing that people keep saying is like, really just kind of, animalistic when it comes to being around, like seeing women on covers and stuff, and that's why it sells. Let's be real. If you put like a big fat woman on a cover, how many women are going to look at that and go, I'm going to buy that. That's what I want. That's exactly like it's a human response. Like when you see somebody who is kind of alluring and pretty, and women tend to be bendy and get in interesting positions and things like that. Like that kind of stuff is what sells because it's interesting, more than, I don't know, unless you're going to go for like some kind of SJW win and like, oh, look at how noble this, and it's some 450-pound woman that is wearing nothing.
Let's say Tess Holiday. We all know you're talking about Tess Holiday.
But I realized at an early age, like Rob Liefeld, because I was a big Liefeld fan. He would have like butt shots, and it'd be butt shots of girls and it'd be butt shots of guys, and I was like, that's a little odd. But I thought about it. I'm like, oh well, this is actually pretty smart because one, there's definitely chicks that are going to be interested in butt shots of a dude. And but it goes the other way around. There's going to be dudes that are going to be interested in a butt shot.
That is true.
It makes sense. So give everybody something, and everybody should leave happy. Now there's going to be people that are just, they can't handle any kind of sexualization at all. But that's not my material. My superhero, my 90s influence. There was a lot of sexualization. It wasn't blatant. It wasn't pornography. But there were attractive women. Most kids from the 90s remember that Jim Lee shot of Psylocke coming out of the water. I mean, that was it, man. So
we apparently have a question for you from Checkpoint. We're to ask if you ever gave Rob Liefeld a chicken soft
taco. That's a story that Ethan was telling. Apparently, Dan Frega accidentally he and Rob went to Taco Bell with, I think, some other people, and Dan took a bite out of his own taco without checking to make sure it was his own, and it was Rob's, and Dan, I guess, got really worried by that. Like that Rob was going to freak out. Now, if you listen to Ethan, as I understand, like Rob back in those days was a little bit more hands-on, like I guess slappy with Dan Frega.
Sorry. Bitch slapping people.
Yeah,
Wow.
I've been Rob's assistant, so I mean I've spent a good amount of personal time with Rob. I can tell you he's never ever tried to lay a hand on me. But he also did tell me at one time, he's like, I'm a different guy than I was 10 years ago, John. I'm like, oh, okay, good to know. So never really knew what that meant. Maybe it was about slapping people. I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to assume anything, but yeah. People that tend to slap.
Anyways, I don't remember how that story ended, but Dan Freyo was like actually concerned for his life or something, that Rob was going to smack him for taking a bite out of his chicken taco, whatever it was.
Oh my gosh. I just can't imagine like getting beat because you took the bite out of the wrong taco. They're like $2.
Yeah.
Go buy another one.
Some people, emit intimidation, and yeah. I can see Rob that. I mean, Rob is a guy that's been known to kind of blow his top. So yeah.
No, I definitely can understand that. I've come from a family of intimidating people. So.
Oh, actually, one time he did blow his top right in front of me. It wasn't directed at me, but it was very embarrassing. We were parked outside of all places. I mean, for comic fans, everyone knows Rob goes to Starbucks. Like, that's his thing. So we were parked outside of Starbucks, and there was a Kinko's down the way. He would normally get something to drink. I'd run his pages over to Kinko's. I'd blow them up, shrink them down, do whatever he needed to light box these later on in the day. But he was telling me a story about how somebody, I think it was somebody at DC had really pissed him off, and Rob like kind of reenacts things, as if it's actually happening. And he described yelling at this person from DC. And when he's describing it, he's yelling at like almost the top of his lungs. Like, I told him, like that. And I mean, this is broad daylight. Me and him are sitting in a car. And, I think the windows were up. But anybody walking in the vicinity of that would have thought this dude was just bitching me out. So it's funny in that sense. But otherwise, yeah.
2 dudes in a car, one of them losing his shit.
Yeah. Mother, I told you.
Okay, I have a bad habit of doing that. I try not to, but I get really like heated when I relive stuff, and I've like told people stories and had somebody like like, why are you yelling at me? It wasn't me that did it. And like, yeah. I had people that walked past and interjected because they thought that I was about to beat the shit out of somebody. And I was like, we're talking. It's fine.
Yeah. Most people, I think, get to the point of loud talking when they're kind of describing something that happened. But he was full yell. Like, it was full on yelling. And I was like, whoa.
I've at least learned how to temper that, but that's mostly because in the military, there's always somebody who outranks me who yells louder. So eventually you just kind of learn to maybe sit down and shut up for a second.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm looking through these, and you were talking about your success and how you share it with people. I'm just noticing that even your freaking variant cover is at 46,000. If I go back to your original one, where is it? Here we go. I mean, you've already made like half of your original campaign.
Oh, yeah, almost, yeah.
Yeah, you're at about, collectively, between 1 and 2, I think you're at about 325.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because you can roll your cursor over, like if you scroll down, it'll tell you what like the 3 combined are. Go down. What? Keep going. Like scroll the page down. Go to highlights and 3 projects. See that highlights box to the left of your cursor?
Ah, okay. Yeah.
There you go.
Jeez.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's from the 3 Graveyard Shift campaigns.
That's amazing, though.
Awesome. And they all look absolutely amazing. Everything I've heard about the original one, I mean, I've never seen a complaint about Graveyard Shift. It's fucking kick-ass.
Well, I'm sure they're out there. And I'm sure now that you've said that, people are going to let me know.
Well, it's all going to be smaller art. So yeah. I think you
should put it out in the universe, and now it's like, well, I'm sorry, John. I try to keep her under wraps, but, this is what she does. She
the Graveyard Shift was drawn originally, I don't know, probably 5 years ago now, the original volume 1 that we did, that first campaign. And then I got hired by Marvel. And then when I was done with Marvel, I decided I was going to get back into doing Graveyard Shift. and getting this wrapped up for the volume 2, which is where we're at now. But then Richard C. Meyer got a hold of me, asked me if I wanted to do Jawbreakers. So Graveyard Shift has always had to take a back seat to paid work. And through Comicsgate now was I able to really start putting my focus back into getting that done and out there. So, so we're finally getting the volume 2 out there. But yeah, there is a $50 tier on there. If anyone's interested, you can catch up on the story with the $50 tier, and that's good to go. If you got deep pockets, though, there is a $250 tier with a T-shirt, and that it's a gold T-shirt. I put that in every one of my campaigns as a high tier item. That is your ticket to any official event that I go to, any convention where I'm signing or drawing or doing anything like that. That you wear that shirt to the convention physically on you, and that means after the show, you and I will go get a beer somewhere. So it'll be on me, one beer.
That's awesome.
So. But yeah, otherwise, if I made it cheap, I would go broke buying people beer.
This is true.
I was gonna say like import, domestic, draft,
anything they want. That shirt tells me that whoever backs at that level is like an elite backer. You're not just casually backing. You're someone that's like, I want in. So it's going the extra mile to help raise funds. So I want to reward these people.
That's really cool. That's actually, I think it's the first time I've heard of somebody who's offered that. But then again, most of the people that we have on are just starting out. They're not quite as well known as you. They're, they're like me, but they can draw.
Well, getting someone's attention, like, when I was a fan just going to conventions, to talk to somebody or to do the whole beer thing, like buy them a drink at the bar. It was like death. The idea of going up to someone and trying to be like, "Can I buy you a beer?" It was the worst thing I could ever conceive of doing. So being able to go and have a conversation with someone that I respected at a bar, but being that fanboy coming up, "Can I buy a beer?" and just being so transparent with that, it was the worst thing ever. But if Todd McFarlane was doing a crowdfund today and he had a T-shirt or something like that, or any other of the guys that I really respected back in the day, and they had a T-shirt, and basically it's like, hey, you get this tier, you wear this shirt, I'm gonna buy you a beer at a convention. I would have gone. I would have bought it. I've been like, hey, this is my ticket to have a conversation with this person, and I don't have to feel fake about it. I don't have to feel like I'm an unwanted guest,
Right.
And Rob was good about fan reach out as well to people. Like when I was part of his message boards, we'd go to conventions and he would find all the people that were on like his message board, like his diehard fans, and he'd just buy everyone pizza. So after the show, we'd all go down to the pizza shop down from whatever that is, the Wizard World Chicago Rosemont, I think is what it is. There's a pizza shop right down there. It's pretty popular. But yeah, Rob would take everyone down there and just put up, get the long tables together and, 20 guys all eating pizza on Rob. So
well, see that kind of stuff is really fun. Like I recently went and worked MagFest, and 2 years ago I ended up randomly being on the Mediatron team as a volunteer, which meant that I got to go do panels. So literally had to run into a room and hit record on a camcorder before they started talking, and then hit stop when they finished. And I had like 3 rooms I had to cover, so I was just running in, hitting record, and running out. But I got to talking with the guys after a while, and they were wondering if it was something I was interested in, and they started inviting me to come out to actually work as part of Mediatron and not just be a volunteer. So this year, that's what we did, and having that kind of camaraderie where you're working with people like that, and you're doing kind of a more creative or a more, I guess, not standard job, and then the after effects where you go and you kind of share those beers or whatever. Like we had a duffel bag full of liquor, and anytime you were like not on shift, it was like, oh, you're not doing anything right now, sweet, so Jack and Coke, right? That's what you want. Just like pouring whatever, and sitting around and shooting the shit and talking about whatever annoyance came up, or we filmed this one, performer, and he seemed like he was really cool, and he was a total douchebag backstage, and just kind of sharing all of those stories. Mm-hmm. That's what really makes those jobs super rewarding and a lot more, a lot more fun. It feels a lot more like interactive and everything. So it's cool that you're offering to do something like that that kind of pulls people into that even without having that like working relationship.
Yeah.
And it's an awesome icebreaker, like you said, because fans are fucking terrified of going up to somebody famous and having that conversation or trying to.
It was like the first time I was on EVS and he was like, "Oh, Shae, if you don't know." And I was like, "I know who you are. Thank you. You're why I read comics." It's fine. Tell me who you are again.
Yeah, Rebirth literally got Shae into comics. So,
literally Flash Rebirth.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, really good art. Really good art in that book.
Oh my gosh. And it was a heart-wrenching story on top of it. I was like, this is what comics are? Why have I not been doing this my whole life? Like, that was a couple years ago. It really wasn't all that recent. But, I mean, it's what you can do in comics and what you can do in other media. Like, comics are kind of my jam because it combines, like, books and movies together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it looks like we got a question from Jim Cox. He says, now that you've seen what this campaign has done, will you change your practice of 60 days and out on campaigns?
Probably not. I like to keep the campaign short, and I think the fans on a certain level like that as well. It keeps them exciting. So I'm gonna keep doing the 60 days and done. And if anything, maybe I'll do a real small campaign like this. Like this one is only 30 days, and there's no extension, there's no in demand. People get it or they don't, and that's it. But I think it's fun, and also it takes care of a lot of stress. So like when I have a campaign going, like I'm stressed out because I'm trying to find time. Like what's going to be the best time to go out here and talk about this. And dealing with people, sometimes there's little whatever explosions that need to be dealt with. So it's a lot of stress, and also like I feel like when I go and I have conversations with people that there's always like that thing in the back of my head, like don't forget to talk about your book. So When the campaign's done, I feel relieved. I feel free again. Like I can have conversations, and I think people, on some level, not everyone, but on some level, people will take you a little bit more honestly if you have no financial motive behind what you're saying. And they're like, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something really deep and really important, and really make you guys understand something. Get everyone on my side, and then let me drop my book.
Right.
So whatever, it just feels a little more honest for me. I'm not saying anyone else and how anyone else runs their business, but that's just for me and how I want to run my business.
Well, and it's kind of awkward if you're trying to push your book, but trying to have fun at the same time, because like Cecil's getting hammered, Kelsey's being Kelsey, Anna's sucking something up through her eyeball, and you're trying to pitch your book.
You kind of become the odd man out, but I mean. I just like to get them done and over with. And I'm not sure that it's hurt at all because, I feel like for most, I've shown that I'm kind of on par with Mike. And Mike runs these, 6 month long campaigns, with Lone Star. And I'm able to do in 60 days what he does in 6 months. But I think that might be because people realize that my campaigns will actually end at 60 days. Like I'm not pulling a fast one on anybody. They know, like now I think everyone knows when I say it's going to close, it's going to close.
So wait, when are you going to offer all of your projects in one big pack along with like Theme G and just like Mike?
Like a multi-topic campaign. I don't know. I don't know if I'd do something like that. But I am going to get to the point where when I do like a graveyard shift campaign, I want to start consolidating the work. So like right now it's buying volume 1, volume 2 separately. By the time volume 3 comes out, I'm probably going to offload whatever I have left of volume 1, volume 2. But then by the time volume 4 comes out, I want to have a book that is just one collected edition of those first 3 volumes. Right. And if I can sell that for $25, to catch everybody up with one book, all of a sudden the price of that story just dropped dramatically. And it's reasonable for even people who may not have had the money or felt they wanted to pay $25 for a book.
Absolutely. So, and I did want to mention that you do have 1 and 2 available.
Yeah. Volume 1, volume 2, $50. So, But yeah, so eventually, that's my route down the road to how I make these more affordable for people. So people who hop in and get the first prints, first editions, boom, they're making it happen. And then, if anything ever has a possibility going into a store, it'd probably be a collected edition.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So a good friend of ours, Justin Dutton, wants to know if he doesn't drink beer, but he buys the shirt. Will you buy him a shot of vodka instead?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Sounds fair. And kind of getting back to what you were saying, I think basically what that means. So it's a big deal for people that are collectors and people who want to kind of have that exclusivity of whatever your project is. It also means that if you like anything that Coach does, maybe you have a little Malin fund, just like vacation jars and tattoo funds and stuff. Just like get a little jar and put all of your stuff for whatever Malin is going to launch a project, because you aren't going to have time to save. So put it all in there, and then you're good to go the next time a project launches.
Yeah, and the first editions, like for me as well. Again, I'm not telling anybody else how to run their business, but for like me, first editions, getting them signed, that helps the value, so that that helps convince people, hey, it's not so bad for me to pay that little extra to get this book because it's signed. So if I do that collected edition where it's volume like 1 through 3, that is going to be like an unsigned version. But it's going to be like whatever, 150 pages of comic
right.
for $5. And then as we continue to go on, we get another 3 campaigns down. Then hopefully we can even consolidate that 1 through 3 into like 1 through 6 or something like that.
Right.
A lot of possibilities.
There really are, and I think that makes a lot of sense too, because it's if you're an original backer, those are the ones that made it, and so book 2, 3, 4, 5, like that they could even be created. Mm-hmm. And I think that giving them that kind of exclusive corner of you're going to get the only signed copies, you're going to get like the limited edition covers, whatever. That's kind of a nice little thank you back for backing so early. And then later on, if you end up doing, you still get all of the story. You still get to experience what it was. You just maybe missed out on. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's how you can create new fans. Mm-hmm. And then the next time, you put out another cover or something, they can be one of those originals that get that signed edition.
Yeah. And also like all the first edition books or the covers, this is different from pretty much anyone else, I think. All the covers are the same. So the volume 1 cover is green. The volume 2 is blue. The volume 3 will be like a red or an orange or a yellow. The idea is that basically as time goes on and you have all these original first printings, and should you ever put them on like your wall, like in one of those clear sleeves, it'll look like an Andy Warhol painting. Yeah. So it'll look really cool. You'll have all matching covers. It's all the logo with the kind of ghostly eye thing coming out of it. So only the second print covers or variant covers have figures on them, but the very first printings have the logo.
Oh, that's neat.
Awesome. Yeah.
So that also can help in terms of collectability, because say you miss out on volume 1, like you only found out about it when we were on volume 2 or volume 3, but you wanted that nice green one to go with your blue and your other color one. So now you're incentivized to find someone who has an extra copy of that green one, and hopefully that person who has that extra copy of that green one will be able to raise his money significantly, and boom, he's paid off his first campaign of Graveyard Shift, maybe his first and second, because that green one has gone for up to $100 and some odd on eBay. So,
all right, we have another question from Justin. So, with making the book, your own YouTube channel, and going on others, what does a Malin professional comic work day look like?
Right now, my professional work day yesterday was getting this tax program together and trying to figure out how to get all my 1099s and what I owe everybody, emailing people back and forth to make sure that their numbers match my numbers, so I can have these forms going. Otherwise, right now I'm getting the last 8 pages of Graveyard Shift drawn, and I'm checking colors at the same time because those are coming back. and I'm really hoping to get to the finish line because I still have to do, I think, about 300 sketches for the 2 campaigns. I have to make 2 new trading cards due to this campaign. And then almost immediately after that, at some point, my actual books will be coming in, and then it's going to be fulfillment mode. And it's going to be me, my wife, when she's available, and some hired family members coming out here and trying to fulfill a campaign for the first time. Last time we did, Mark did it. But Mark has a full-time job, and it took about 6-7 weeks, I think, for the campaign to be fulfilled.
How many copies?
I want to see if it's possible for us to get that down to like 2-3 weeks for everybody to get their books. Whatever the case is, it's going to be new information for me. And then on the next campaign, I'm going to know exactly what it takes to get a campaign out in, say, 2 weeks. And I think backers will really appreciate that, as well as, campaigns coming out that quickly. So,
yeah, I definitely think that probably the worst part for me out of all of the campaigns that I've backed is having to wait so long, because either somebody started a campaign and they're like, we've got 4 pages done out of 90. And you're like, yep. So I'll see you in a year and a half. That sounds great. All the way down to just people that haven't had to fulfill before. So they don't know what their printers are going to be like. They don't know what fulfillment is really going to take. And they end up thinking it's going to be, oh yeah, I'll sit down for a week and we'll be fine. And then, 4 weeks later, they're like, I still don't have labels. Like, I don't know what's happening anymore.
So, when I went to Mark's to help with fulfillment, all I ended up doing was sketching the entire time I was there. And, but you find out very quickly when you're, whoever else is in the room stuffing boxes and whatnot. It's only fun for about 3 hours. Like, you think this is going to be beer slinging, everyone having a good time, hooting and hollering, but people are paying a premium for these books. You want to be sure they get in there properly. You want to be sure your signature is as well as you can make it. So it ends up being a real job really quick. So I think most people find that out. But I have that knowledge now. Now I need to gain the knowledge of the actual shipping, which is what Mark did. And once I have all that knowledge, then I've also considered that if this goes over well enough, I might even start offering to handle fulfillment for other people. So we're going to see.
Nice.
That is a need within Comicsgate, is someone that's reliable, trustworthy to help out on this fulfillment end. But that's still a question mark. I have to find out that it's not a complete nightmare first.
Yeah,
with the sage advice in the chat.
Cecil. Yeah. Look, Cecil broke the mold, man. Like, we're over here like chumps, fulfilling and paying people, and Cecil's like, why do that? And I was like, wow, yeah, why do that?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing about Cecil's project is, like, people who, like, again, like, that's what I was saying earlier about how it's fun. Like, it's fun to be kind of in on the joke, and to you'll pay money for, a Shae hand turkey or a tank heist, foot tank. And I think on some level people are going to have a little bit of disappointment when they get a box for cash grab and there's an actual book in there, because I think a lot of people are in on the joke and they kind of want to get screwed by Cecil. Because it'd be funny. How funny!
I want the action figure Centipede if I order his book.
Oh, you want a Centipede?
Yeah, the human Centipede.
But I'm saying with the joke, the title is cash grab, and Cecil says you're not getting anything. So when you get that box and it's empty, you're gonna laugh. Yeah, how many people laugh at getting screwed over? Well, it's if he did it, it would be funny. I think it'd be funny. It wouldn't be good for business. There would probably be lawsuits because there's a lot of people that aren't going to be in on the joke. But people are going to appreciate, or they would appreciate on some level if it was empty.
An empty bottle of Jack and a bill for having screwed you.
Oh my gosh. So Justin is just rolling with the questions. He wants to know what printers would you suggest?
Right now, the only one I've used is Print Ninja. If you're prepared for the time that they take for turnover, right now I haven't seen anything better. I sent in a quote for this American printer. I can't remember what they're called now, but someone sent it to me the other day. I think it's like Maxim or something like that.
Mixum.
So I sent in a quote. I tried to match the specs to Graveyard Shift, and I want to see what they're going to come back with. The good thing about
2.5 times the price.
What's that?
They're 2 to 2.5 times the price, even at
high
volume.
See, and that's no good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
you don't like paying more?
No, see, I could just pay Print Ninja twice the price, and I would have my book in 2 weeks anyways. So,
right.
And I trust Print Ninja at this point, because I've already started working with them. I got a contact there now. So twice the price. You got to be better than that. So I don't know. Trump's gonna have to throw a tariff on
comics.
Comics to try to get me to stop going there. But yeah, like even on the first Graveyard Shift campaign, Mark and I were like, well, we could pay, I think it was like $7,000 extra to get these books in 2 weeks. And we were like, well, we could do that, or we could take that $7,000 and we could have a talent search contest. We can use that to partially fund that. So we were like, well, it seems a lot better because we were already going to deliver on time. It was just a question of, do we want to pay that to deliver early? And we're like, no, let's use this money to benefit other people. And, and everyone's going to get their books when they expected them anyways. So, we're kind of like win-win. But yeah, if you're prepared for the time, if you can plan far enough ahead, I think it's better for everyone to save $7,000.
Right. Who can honestly say that they couldn't use $7,000 right now?
Yeah.
Like that's, I'm right there with you.
If you force me.
Yeah. Now I know. I think Tug. I don't know if he went through Print Ninja, but I think he paid for like an expedited shipping with whatever his printer was, because he wanted to be sure that his book was on time. And I'm like, that's good. That's really good business because everybody kind of is prepared to expect maybe a month delay or 2 months delay. Worst case scenario, 6 months delay, I guess. Or I don't know what Red Rooster. I don't know how far delayed they are.
Oh,
now.
Mitch.
Yeah.
God, I haven't even kept track.
Almost a year, whatever. I mean, no one wants that. No one wants a year by any stretch of the imagination, and but sometimes it's going to happen. But for the most part, I think our audiences are pretty cool. As long as you keep in contact with people and let them know, like, this is what's going on. I think for the most part, people are going to be happy, just fine with, a handful of months of a delay.
Right.
But Todd wanted to be sure his stuff was, 100% on time customer satisfaction. And I think that's really great. But he paid for it.
Right. And even if there's going to be a delay, most people will be understanding, and unless they're just, cranky bitches to begin with. I mean, look at the year the EVS took, and I mean, he had some people whining about it, but for the most part, people shut the fuck up and understood.
Yeah, well, they're whining, whatever. I mean, everybody wants to get their product. So, I've been waiting on my Rob Liefeld Brigade book for 5 years now, 6 years. I don't want to say people are whining. There's definitely people that want their book, and that's understandable.
So this is the third time Pan has said this, so I'm just gonna.
Oh.
No, that wasn't it. Sorry, the chat skipped.
There you go.
That's regarding George Alexopoulos's book. He did a home printing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Didn't he do videos about how it's so much better to do home printing and how it can be just as good?
See.
Yeah, well, I actually have. I got my book because he was on my show way back when, and I bought it when he was on my show, as I tend to do with some of my guests. But I just got the book, I think, like a day or two ago. It's in a box. I haven't opened it up yet, but now I'm curious. What is the home printer version versus a professional version going to look like?
The binding is 3-hole punched in yarn.
Well, see, that's the thing that's weird for me. So, my husband is an artist, and we bought a printer so we could print all of his like posters and stuff at home to save money. And those have come out great, but I can't imagine taking that same printer, and I know how much ink it goes through in order to get really good quality files printed up with the right kind of saturation and everything. I can't imagine trying to print even one comic, much less if you had a few hundred or heaven forbid a few thousand. I have no idea how you would be able to reliably do that without everything completely jacking up. Because I just in printing, like for a con, I'll go and print 20 prints of various bits of his art, and out of that 20, at least 2 of them will completely fuck up, and I have to like throw them away and do them again.
Yeah, I think it would be a nightmare. But now that my curiosity is piqued, I'm gonna go grab that box and have a look.
Yes,
absolutely.
I love it. Oh my goodness. And of course, for everybody in the chat, thank you all for coming. We're super happy to have you here. Keep thinking of questions that you would love to ask Malin. We are more than happy to keep on pinging him with as many questions as you guys can possibly come up with. And let me post the link.
Kind of our format is to have you guys ask questions.
It's a little bit what we do. And then, of course, I just posted the link again, so you can go and back Graveyard Shift Volume 2, the Huerta cover, because it would be awesome. I do not know what that is, Jem. I'm very confused. What is an AB?
Hold on. What?
I'm not. You know what? Yep.
I'm sorry. Give me a second to scroll through the chat. It's delayed on my end.
Of course it is, because you're on a fucking Chromebook.
Adam post telling me not to go get smokes again. I'm sorry that took some time.
Exactly what I was thinking, Adam. Thank you. This is so cool. We have an unboxing now.
You know what?
Let's see.
Yep,
Hold
go
on.
big.
All right. Let's see what we got in the box. I got one of these, the bookmark.
Okay.
Looking good, like it. One of these.
Oh, nice.
No bookmark. And I got a problematic. Do you know if he printed the problematic at home, or because this was, I think, from a different campaign?
I do not. All
right.
Feel like that would be a lot to do at home, though. Yeah. Looking at the binding and everything, that doesn't.
Yeah, that binding.
All right, let's look at one of the floppies then. Here we go. Whoop, whoop. All
right. It's not just me that has a hard time with this.
And it's not just me that's broadcasting on YouTube using earbuds.
Well, I'll say first thing, this is good. The pages they all look like they're in line. I would expect these to be slightly different links, like up and down, up and down, up and down. So it looks like you did a good job with that. Color-wise, I don't see like any kind of lines. Like sometimes a printer can have these little.
Yeah.
So let's see. You guys can see.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
No, that's actually impressive.
What about the gutters in the middle? Was there a big space between the end of the center of the page and the binding?
Nothing gutter. Let's see. Here's middle of the book. He's stapled. Staple did not go all the way through, but see, one end here is up. This one has not gone through. But you can probably, I guess, you could probably get something like that from time to time in a regular book. There is this, I don't know if the camera can see this, there is kind of like this weird dot stuff going on. So if you guys have copies, you can actually see these weird dots in here.
I wonder if that's so I know that when you start to run low on ink, or if you've been putting through a whole bunch of pages over and over and over again, sometimes your printer just kind of needs a second. I know that mine does a self clean, but that's probably just a dirty print head or low ink.
Overall, I don't think he did too bad of a job. As I'm looking at it now, I do have 2 copies. Let's see. Let me do a page by page comparison. See if there's any different coloration in the pages. I think these are the same book. I hope they're the same book. Oh no, they're not the same book. Oh, it's issue 1 and issue 2.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, so I can't actually do that. So let me go through this other issue. Give this a peek real quick. Overall, in terms of floppy quality, I think it's actually not too bad. I don't know. This is weird because like there's this. I don't know if it's just an alignment that he had issue, but you see how much room. Oops, this white.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about on the first book you showed.
Yeah.
Either that's a problem with his printer that he just can't get in that tight, which I don't see why he would if he's printing, 4 sides. But either that or he didn't know how to pre-press it right.
Yeah, and it bleeds off the edge here.
Wow.
So yeah. So let's see. So there is no white on the edge of this, and there could have been, but that could be human error. That could be part of the problem of printing at home. And this, look at this. This is huge. That's like an inch of white. That's a lot of white.
That is.
It's not do or die. Like that's not going to break you. Like it could almost be like the style for the book. Yeah, here it is again. This book is.
Well, looking at the empty space around around the outside of his panels.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could just expand the images to.
They could have been squeezed in. Just slide the whole thing towards the gutter. But I'm not, in terms of the printer itself, I'm not seeing anything that would make you not want to do this, other than the fact that it sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't feel like the money that you would be saving by trying to do this yourself is worth the absolute hassle.
Yeah.
Well, the dots, the problems with the extra space, and just all the different things that you're gonna.
Here's an alignment thing. Like generally on a double page spread, you don't ever see the white,
right?
Because it'll bleed right into the edge. But this you can see a white line going right down the middle of a double page spread.
That and getting the right paper finishes and cover finishes that you want, if it's going to be home printed, can be really, really expensive, and I would think cost prohibitive. But whatever.
Well, and I mean, so you have like the one side of it where it's kind of nice because you get to make sure that the quality is what you want, but then the other side of it, and coming from complete experience, the amount of times that I have tried to print up, because a lot of the stuff that my husband will do is super, super dark, but it'll show up okay on the screen. Well, your computer screen has blue light, but the actual information for the ink is always so much darker, and so trying to do that kind of pre-press work to make sure that you have everything at the right levels and the right saturation and the right brightness and everything, it's a huge pain in the ass. It is so much work, and to do that for a comic book where you have to make sure that every single page is coming out exactly as you need it, like that sounds terrible. That sounds so bad. Like I don't think I would ever do that.
Yeah, I'd like him to at least, since this is a process that he was swearing by, I'd like to see him, if he hasn't, do a video which shows every step he had to take to do this and to do it properly, and to cover what went wrong or what was the intention between these very wide gutters.
Yeah.
So other people could avoid that. Because if it did save money, which I kind of doubt, but if it did save money and people wanted to go this kind of laborious route, then more power to them. Put the information out there. The quality of the art, like the colors and all that stuff, it looks fine.
So
I wouldn't do it. No way.
I wouldn't. I will go right now on record and say I will never do it. That just sounds terrible. But So while you were unboxing, we got some cool questions. So Adam Post asked, what was your secret to always winning? Take that as you will.
I kind of know it, but go on.
Wolf Milk.
Well, yeah, I mean, is it winning on the campaigns or is it winning on drawing contests? Like the drawing contest, it's trash talk, and but look, I mean, I've retired 2 drawing competitions now because of my trash talk. So now I have to get to the point where I say, is it worth it for me to even go on these? Because it doesn't look like I'm making many friends.
Advertising the votes on Twitter.
Yeah, well, you put on your wrestling persona and you go to town. That's how you win on a drawing contest, or that's how you win on a vote related thing.
Right.
How do you win on books and stuff like that? I think likability matters. How people feel about you as a business person, or if they can trust you. They're handing you very personal information. So if they don't trust you, that can reflect on your sales poorly. So I think that's important as well.
Very true.
That's why we all get out here and do these live streams. We want people to know who we are. And, I think most people that know me know that even if you disagree with me, I'm trying to be as honest about something as possible. So, and you got to go out there and bang some drums. If you have opinions on things, let your opinions out. And, people like to hear that stuff. If you're hashtag drama free and you don't want to engage in any way, shape, or form with people, that's how your customers are going to feel about engaging with you. So talk about things that get people's interests out in pop culture. I say on Comicsgate Presents, like, all the time when I'm talking to new creators, like, your first step isn't even getting the book, it's getting your YouTube together. Start building your audience, start building out your network within Comicsgate, and other places. Like you as a Comicsgater, it's not like you only have to reside within Comicsgate. If you have friends out there that talk comics or whatever, or another show or podcast you want to go on, by all means, have conversations with them. But building your YouTube channel up is, that's step one, really. And then from there, getting your LLC together, make sure you have that stuff. And then as your audience grows and your network has been built out, then you can go out there and start talking about projects.
Yeah, and put out quality. Don't put out the garbage that the mainstream is doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and let me say, because otherwise naysayers will be like, John, well, yeah, that's true. It's true. I did start my work with Richard C. Meyer. I can't do anything about that, guys. That was the book that started it all for Comicsgate. I can't and I won't change that. So that gives me a benefit for building an audience and for having people's attention 100%. And also being able to get on a platform like Ethan, that matters a lot as well. Mm-hmm. That's big factor when it comes to winning. Ethan has probably the largest platform in Comicsgate, and he has the ear of a lot of customers, and absolutely 100% that factors in as well. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to getting on his show, he's said many times, it's not just that you have a comic, that helps that you have a comic. And it really helps if it's really good, like Shinobi Sasquatch, Rob Willis's work, Monster MD. But for him, he wants to entertain people. So having some kind of personality or something funny about you or whatever, that helps as well. That's part of banging those drums. When you get on there, it's not about just trying to get the word out. You want to sell yourself first.
Right.
Oh, that's a fun person, but because customers, they'll see right through you if you can't get selling out of your mind.
Right.
Like, they want to just see you sit around and have a good time and talk about things that you're really into or not into. So
having done a few dozen of these shows at this point, actually we recently had on Shinobi Sasquatch and before that Monster MD. But having done these shows over and over again, you really start to pick out the people that are going to kind of make it, the people that are selling themselves and their book, versus the people that are like, oh, well, here's my book.
The people that I have to be a lot more charismatic in order to try and make sure it's not a shit stream.
Where we have to try to sell their book to salvage the episode, So, I mean,
it's having pride in your work, and it's having that level of confidence that what you're doing is not only good, but it's something that people want. And if you really want people to back and you really want people to support you, you've got to show that you're worth supporting. If you seem like you're nervous or super wishy-washy about everything and not as dedicated as you maybe are, it deflates any excitement that your entire customer base could have had, because you don't seem excited about it. There's nothing to kind of feed off of.
Mm-hmm. You have to be your own Stan Lee.
You do.
Someone has to do the marketing, and that's the whole point of YouTube. That is your marketing machine.
Yep.
Right. You're not going to an LCS and picking up a book and choosing to buy it that way. You're buying it based on what you see of the creator, how they present themselves, how excited they are about the project, what art they can display. I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have not so great art, but you have a personality or a character or even a character flaw that people can kind of find endearment to, they may buy your book on that alone.
That's true.
Speaking like someone like Nasser, where people are like, well, the story's not that great, but he's kind of a human robot, and we like that. So they buy that. And I'm not going to say whether or not Nasser's stuff is great or not. I haven't read it, so but
I have, and yeah,
we're gonna move on.
I'm gonna say is the 78% 1-star reviews that he gets on Amazon are well deserved, and move on from there. But well, I mean, take Cecil. He's like 1,000,000,000% charisma. We haven't seen shit that he's actually able to do yet. Because, I mean, Nasser screws him, and his stuff is taking forever. But I mean, I would literally buy. Well, not bathwater, but I'd buy almost anything from Cecil. I mean, he's just got that personality.
Yes. I fully expect Cash Grab to outsell Graveyard Shift, like Volume 2. Like, I expect it to go past. I don't know what we've made total, but I think it will go past us, and that's because people actually love Cecil. They love him like 100%. They send him gifts all the time. Nobody sends me gifts.
They send him liquor through the mail.
Well, that's not true. Mark sent me that Migo Dow, so appreciate that, Mark. But yeah, being loved by the people, that's going to help as well. And I've seen the cover, I've seen some of the interior pages as well, and they're top notch. And you put all that together, and you're going to have a hit. And Cecil has his own channel at, I think, about 11,000 subscribers now. Like that's probably 5,000 more than I had when I launched Graveyard Shift Volume 2.
I don't understand the growth of his channel, and he was in our chat at one point. I'm not sure he's still there. I do not understand the growth of his channel because I've watched him forever, and he's hilarious, and it's just nonstop with him, and his channel refuses to fucking grow.
No, it's growing. It's 11,000.
Well, I know, but I'm saying it's been around the
Yeah, he flipped over to 10,000, I think, like 3 months ago. I mean, in terms of refusing to grow, I mean, then mine's a corpse. Yeah. So, I mean, mine just trickles out, but it doesn't matter. I mean, like that rapid growth that you see with someone like Richard or Ethan, like that's fantastic. A lot of charisma goes in that. A lot of likability goes into that. Maybe a bit of luck. I don't know. But I don't think I have the charisma. Of Cecil or Ethan or Richard. But that slow, steady growth is great growth. And the people that follow us, like all of our channels, and my channel, your channel, Cecil's channel, the way I see it is kind of like, Ethan and Richard, are pulling in these mass comic book audiences. And as they're getting drawn in, they're hearing about Comicsgate. So then they're looking around to find out what Comicsgate is. So then they come down to these smaller channels, myself, and yes, mine is a smaller channel, and they discover us. And it's our job to give them a cigar, to put slippers on their feet, to hopefully they will find one channel or another that they gravitate to. Yeah. And so Richard and Ethan, even though they're only getting about 5 to 7% of their audience to back, smaller channels, we're able to pull 20 to 40% of our audiences into backing. Right.
So it's like we're more concentrated. So you've got Ethan
100%.
Is like a big shotgun blast and you're going to hit a couple of people, but like we're a super concentrated group of people that this is exactly what we're here for. This is exactly up our alley. We are the target audience kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's why I say everybody, in Comicsgate, we owe Ethan a lot, and Richard, because they are the guys that are out there banging the drums the loudest. Well, mainly Ethan now. Richard's got toned it down a bit, but he's still very important to everything that we're doing. And but yeah, I'm thankful they're out there taking the hits that that they take. And look, I mean, they're in positions that from time to time they may even feel that they've embarrassed themselves or whatnot. I mean, that's what happens when you're out there banging pots and pans and saying, "Hey, look over here, look over here." Sometimes you get egg on your face, but largely, Ethan has taken the hits for everybody that benefits from Comicsgate and getting all these people. I mean, you guys at any time can ask your audiences, like, "How'd you find out about Comicsgate?" And the answer is going to more than likely be Richard or Ethan. So, yeah, we all benefit from that.
So we actually had another really interesting question. It's been asked twice, and I want to make sure that Blue Sea Hill knows that I did, in fact, see it, and I have not skipped over it. He wants to know how you came up with your story.
Oh, for Graveyard Shift?
Yes.
Well, Mark, I think, had kind of the kernel of it all. I think he might even had the title. Originally, I know he denies it, but he had like a werewolf on the team, and he had the werewolf sticking its head out of like basically the X-wing, the Blackbird type X-Men jet, with his tongue wagging. And so where I came in was basically I had to, for me, I had to tone down the silly. Like I was like, no, we're not going to do the this really goofy version. That's not what I'm interested in. Mark brings the jetpacks, and I bring a little bit more of the kind of grounded stuff of the what all kind of grew into this. What are the monster conspiracy and the presidential stuff, and because our bad guy is like the president of the United States. So don't worry, he's not a Democrat, he's not a Republican, he's not anything. As a matter of fact, people were like, "Oh, it's Donald Trump because he's blonde." But we had this preview book, the initial offering for Graveyard Shift. We put that out in 2010. Like, Trump wasn't even on the radar as like president. So
right,
not in any realistic way. I mean, he's always kind of bopped back and forth on that. But I realized when we printed volume 1 that one of the pages, maybe 2 of the pages, had like a blue tie on him. And I was like, well, I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to dig in, because that's kind of the thing with Comicsgate is like, we want you guys, everyone to feel comfortable here. Right. So, reprints of that have that blue tie. It's now gray. I think it's gray now. So we because we don't want Democrats, we don't want Republicans to feel like anyone's being jabbed at. We're making a point about kind of, charismatic corruption of power. So
right. You did get one other question from I Borrow Ideas. He wants to know if there's any chance on getting the trading card from the volume 1.
I don't know. I'd have to look back into the I'd have to look back into the campaign and find out if that was marked as an exclusive or not in the stretch goals. So, like in this one right now, the Andrew Huerta one, we did have a card that is exclusive. It was the Monster Mayhew card. This is going to be a special edition card. It's going to be different than all the other cards, but it was only limited to 350 of the campaign. But that one that's it. Like there's only those 350, and those are already sold out. But there will be a standard edition, like Mick the Monster Mayhew, which will fit with all the other cards. But as long as I haven't said, and that's what I'm saying, as long as I haven't said that the Volume 1 card was exclusive, then I can probably offer up another, Volume 1 card just so people can get up, the complete set.
Yeah, and there's always eBay.
And that's true too. Yep.
It is very true.
Market. Yep.
Yeah, that secondary market in Comicsgate is huge. So
yeah, and if I did make more cards, I would probably make them like just like the cover. I'd do something a little bit different on it, so it wasn't it wasn't the same. Like the border would be different or something like that. So That way, it's still not hurting anybody if they feel that their card should have been exclusive. I'll find a way if I end up doing something like that.
Absolutely. And I know that this isn't phrased as a question, but I'm going to help out my buddy Alaz and pose a question to you. So he says that you were his first live stream back in August of 2018. And so would you consider going on Road Warrior Drake Analysis as a guest?
So his YouTube.
His YouTube, yes.
Oh, yeah. I don't care.
Sure, whatever.
Yeah, just at me, and if I have time, I'll come on. I'm not that hard to get.
That's literally all we did, because yes. Jon doesn't follow me, so I couldn't send him a direct message. So that's literally what Shae did, was just
everyone just gets a hold of me on Twitter, and at some point I'll follow people so that they can DM me. But I never liked following people, because it would open up my DMs and my DMs would be a mess. But when I started doing Comicsgate Presents, it was the only way I could start communicating with the people that I brought on there. So anyone that's ever been on Comicsgate Presents has access to me. So otherwise, people just get my attention on, if I happen to find you on Twitter and you're saying, hey, I need to talk about X, Y, or Z, there's a chance I'll follow you. So one guy just last week posted a mock-up of like this Malin Militia t-shirt. It had like wolf milk and all this other stuff. It's like, hey, I want to talk to you about doing some apparel for you. Will you follow me? And I was like, yeah. So I followed him. Some people just say, hey, got a question for you. Will you follow me? And it's like, well, why? Just tell me what you want, and then I'll follow you, maybe. So
I'll consider it.
Yeah, because here's what happens: is you end up following a lot of people, and then when you don't get back to somebody, they resent you for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So there's people right now in my DMs that I haven't gotten back to. It's another thing. Like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So.
Yeah, I used to, whenever someone would follow me, I would follow back and then send them a message and thank them. And I did that for a while up until some insaneness happened, and I had 2,000 followers just randomly show up one day, which I don't think was organic. But there's no way in hell I'm going to go through all 2,000 followers and be like, thank you for following me, and I'm pretty sure you were paid to. All the way down the list is just too many. But
basically your DMs become Twitter all over again. It's so many conversations and so many different people hitting you up, and it's like except because they're in their DMs, they feel you have more obligation, and maybe you do, to get back to them, but it becomes a nightmare. Someone's feelings are going to get hurt, and that's why I was always hesitant on following people. But again, because of Comicsgate Presents, I got a lot of people that I'm following.
Right, so Twitter is like an onion, and you're just trying to limit the layers.
Yeah.
You're trying to not add too many more.
And then if I try to clean it up, then people get offended because now I'm not following them. Hey, you're not following me, and then they resent you for that. So, I said,
there's no winning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that we've got the one other question. Who is writing Thundar?
Oh, my Project Thundar. So that's going to be me. And that's why Project Thundar is going to be, really important for me. That's going to be the first book that I'm fully writing and drawing. And I'll probably have Z, my colors from Graveyard Shift, come on for that as well. I'm not 100% because I was thinking about maybe doing something a little bit different. But yeah, it's going to be my first project. And, as soon as all of my Graveyard Shift campaign stuff is wrapped up, then I'm going to be full developing mode for that. I've been thinking it over for, I don't know, I've been talking about it now for about a year. But Project Thundar is a placeholder name. I was about to make that the actual name, but then Mike made Project Maga. So, but yeah, so it may be called something else by the time it launches. But right now I'm looking at probably June launch for that.
That's awesome.
For those that haven't heard anything about it, it's called Project Thundar because the bare bones basis of it was I wanted to create a world that was like Thundar the Barbarian, where you could have sorcerers, monsters, robots. A cowboy could show up and it wouldn't be completely out of place. You can mix everything you want into that timeline, and so that's kind of where I started with it, and it's been fleshed out a lot more through notepads and just what I've been putting up in my head. But now I have to start putting all the pieces together for it.
Right.
So either call it box cutter or foot dragon. See if you can trick Smiller into taking those names.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's going to be something. It's going to be named something cool. But once I'm fully developing the project, I'm sure the name is going to jump out at me. If not, I'll stick with Project Thunder because a lot of people have already heard of it as Project Thunder now. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and when you do get to the point where you want to launch, we would obviously love to have you back anytime to kind of delve into it and go over your stretch goals and all that.
And that's going to be an interesting experiment as well, because this is going to be like a completely different project. So it's kind of like starting back at square one. It's like, does it make six figures? So. It's more testing the waters and see what people are interested in, and if they want to give another project a chance. Because ideally, what I'd love to do is one Project Thunder and one Graveyard Shift campaign a year.
Yeah, so, just alternate back and forth, and 6 months isn't bad, and that's a whole income stream, and
Yep, and if I could do that, and obviously each one, I want to try. If they're all successful, like 100,000 plus, and what I want to do is I want to keep padding in and making more and more content, through like talent searches or other people coming on to add in these satellite books, so I can be telling a core story of Project Thunder, but then I can, just like the supplemental for Graveyard Shift, I can be adding in more into the history with another creative team, and I say, hey, you guys go over here, flesh this idea out, and then now we have maybe 2-3 books per campaign, for better value, hopefully. I mean, that becomes the ultimate goal, is having as much content for Graveyard Shift, Project Thunder, and to where we can keep dropping the price, and the price will get smaller and smaller for so when people just start figuring out about great Comicsgate campaigns and they discover Graveyard Shift, they'll hopefully be able to find a combination of volume 1 through 3, for under at or below $25, and then it just gets more expensive as you catch up. So,
absolutely. Well, honestly, it's been so great having you on and getting to kind of talk just comics in general, not even necessarily Graveyard Shift, but being able to just kind of talk about the community and the whole indie scene as a whole has been super awesome. And I'm really happy we were able to get you on.
I really enjoy talking about Comicsgate and the ideas of Comicsgate and trying to make this work for everybody. I think, when everybody really understands that, on the creative side of what is Comicsgate, we're a network and we're all trying on some level to help everybody out. No one is obligated to do that. No one has to do what, everyone has a right to their own platform.
Yep.
And if you don't want to bring somebody on, you don't have to bring anybody on, and you shouldn't be penalized for that either. But I think it's best for everyone to do their, to build out that network of 3, 4, 5 people that you become really close with, and everyone helps each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got my channel. I try to bring on as many people as possible, but by Ethan exposing people to me, by me exposing people to others, and by others exposing others to others, I mean, that's the network. And we can all benefit. Hopefully everyone gets along as best as they possibly can. And I think right now, even though we're doing relatively well, I still see this as crumbs. I think we are at the beginning of something, not at the end of something. I think there's a lot more money to be made, a lot more fans to be brought in. And if everybody gets on board, keep your shit together. Everyone's going to do very, very well for themselves. Have the best art that you can find, have the best story that you can tell, and find a Stan Lee within your group. So eventually the goal, I think, is that all of these medium or smaller size channels, like smaller becomes, instead of like 1,000 subs or 2,000 subs, smaller would be like 10,000 subs. Right. So when we have a network of 5, 6 people and they all have like 10,000, 20,000 subs to their own channels, now you become stronger. You're going to make a lot more money just by building up these smaller networks within the network. So yeah, everyone get that through your head and work for the betterment of all these channels, and everyone's going to do very well.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Sai, do you have any parting thoughts?
No, just to thank all of the people in the chat that came. We had a great turnout for our channel. We do not have a ton of subscribers, so this was actually really awesome. And Cecil has never been in our chat before, so that was really cool.
Awesome.
Well, be sure to let everyone know to sub and ring the bell. And
yes,
absolutely.
Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for coming out. Make sure that you back Graveyard Shift Volume 2. You only have 17 days left, and we've got the links in the channel. We have the links in the description, so you have absolutely no excuse for not being able to find it to back it. Malin, it was super awesome having you on. I really appreciate it. And seriously, anytime you want to come back, you are welcome on Red Valkyrie. We are more than happy to have you. We can talk about shit hand turkeys.
I appreciate you both having me on. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, keep spreading the good news, man. Comicsgate is where it's at. And we're all going to do very well, guys. Just everyone keep your shit together.
Yes. Keep it all together. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for coming out.
Bye.
Bye.